Hello guys, welcome. I'd like to point out a brand new world that we've just been working on. And boy, is it a wonderful one. So give me just a second here, I have to center up. There we are. Okay, alright, sorry. So, I want to show you this new world that I just created. And I really like it. And I need to explain it a little bit. So, every world that I've created so far has kind of fed into the next world that I create. So the first world that I created was the Waterwolf City, which was basically a learning curve, and that world didn't pan out too far. But what was on that world was a bar called the Bent Q. Well, that Bent Q turned into the Bent Q Bar, and we learned so much on that world that we had a few people with full body tracking wrestle in our bar, and I was thinking, you know what? Let's make an arena. So we made the one hit. And then in the one hit, our good friends T-Bone and Mr. Krabs, they started stacking boxes based upon a little idea that I had. And they took it to heart, and they actually stacked all 16 boxes. It took them 2.5 hours to get it proper once they got it figured out. But that also then got me thinking, you know what? That all by itself could be a world. So I introduced you one of the fastest worlds that has come out of labs from me so far, with a whopping 4 days of creation time, and the popularity has just exploded, and I'm actually over the moon happy about how this world has progressed and how popular it is. So let me explain it, because it's not exactly a normal world. It's actually a place, it's a play place. Think of it like a sandbox, alright? So, let's turn the camera around, and I will kind of walk around and explain. So, in STACKLab, you'll spawn here at the spawn zone, and you'll be presented with the creators, of course, and you'll come up with STACKLab. Welcome to STACKLab. It's a world of boxes, and here are a few things you can do. Stack as many boxes on the center post to win the world record. Play dodgeball, build forts, make the biggest mess ever, play catch, build cannons, and play dodgeball. All sorts of wonderful stuff. Now, how does it work? Well, let me put my camera way out there. There we are. And I'll bring it around. So back here, we have these boxes. And if I grab one, it'll pull itself out of this dispenser that I've created. And all these boxes can be picked up. And we can stack all these items. So if I pull another one out of the box, they just keep coming out. Now, we also have heavy boxes. We have heavy boxes we can pull out. We have some slightly lighter ones we can pull out. And some lighter ones even still. And of course the heaviest of them all. And now we have boxes everywhere. So, let me get the camera and set it up over here. So over here, we have what is called the challenge post, and that's in the middle of this gymnasium that I built. So we have basketball hoops here, and a basketball hoop here. And actually, most importantly, we need to turn smoothing on because nobody likes wiggly cameras. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is a gymnasium. Very simple gym. Not much going on. I put a clock up on there. Got to turn the UI on, otherwise you don't see clock. So we go to masks, turn on UI, and there we are. So now we have the clock. One thing that bugs me the most about some VR worlds is people who don't put clocks in the world. And as much as you can just look at your watch, or you can pick your headset up and look past, I really like the idea of just passively looking up at the clock and going, oh yeah, it's definitely time for bed. Just granted that what I've learned though is people with Oculus, you gotta set your clock. You gotta set your clock, because if you don't, you're gonna get some random and weird time. So let's put the camera right there on the challenge block to kind of explain how STACKLabs works. And I'm actually gonna get the angle here of the closet, because I'm gonna start bringing parts out. So what we need to do is we need to anchor the camera to the world. Dink. All right. Now, and for the dramatic effect of the camera being in the world, we're going to mask off the UI. All right. Perfect. All right. So here we go. Well, in STACKLab originally, got a handful of bricks. And I might as well bring out the two very popular ones. Minecraft, or the companion cube, and the Minecraft block. So we'll put those down, and we'll go out and get some more. So I'm going to grab a couple of blocks from the back closet here. Pick up a few blocks. And I'm going to stack them right here. Box number 1. Box number 2. And that's just generic stacking. But that's not even remotely what you can do in this place. I'm going to pull out some lumber. So over here in the closet. In fact, I think I might do you one better here. Let's change the camera up yet again. We'll go to default camera. And then I'll localize the camera. So now that the camera is... There we go. So now the camera is kind of here. So now you can kind of see over my shoulder as I work. So here's all the lumber pieces, and we can actually take like this piece here. I like this piece. And I'll grab this piece here just for dramatic effect. And notice that the lumber is losing its mind. That's okay. So, I can take this board, and I'll take this board, and we'll come out here, over here to the challenge brick. And you'll notice that physics are definitely enabled here. So if I put the challenge board, put a board here, we learn that there's some standard physics here. There's good old-fashioned Unity physics. Get it centered up. We're getting closer. There we are. So now I can stack this brick here. And there we go. So now you can kind of see. You can absolutely see what we're doing here. So now, challenge block. I've got a few physics blocks. And I can take this 10-pounder block here. And I'll stick it right on top. Kerplunk. Whoop. And see. Oh, no. I made a mess. Man, darn. What are we going to do about that? Well, I guess I have to start over. Or I go swish, 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 swish. Now, that's the fun part about this. There's the block. And I can take this block. Put it right. You know what? We'll actually get the big one out. I'll chuck that out of the way. Get the big catapult and put it right here. There we are. We'll pull the big heavy dog out of the way. And we'll take the light box. I'll put it on this one. And now I've just created the potential for a catapult. So if I take this big heavy block here. And I'm going to go into default. And here, now you're in my head, and I'm going to try and keep my head as still as possible, but I want to show you this. I drop the heavy pounder. Poof. And that's basically the physics engine. We have this 70-pound block and the 10-pound block. I can pick up this 70-pound block, put it right here on the blank, and it will freak the plank out. And that's physics. That's just the start. Now, there's so much more in STACKLab. I have these pieces back here. So we've learned that lumber has physics, and I can throw lumber around and make a mess, and everything is just hunky-dory. I put some balls in the world so you can shoot some hoops. But that's not the coolest part about why we have the balls. We have kinetic boards. At least that's what I'm liking to call them. These boards are gravity independent. They can be picked up, but when you let go of them, they stay put. And the reason why they exist is they're great for fort building, but they also interact with the physics items. So if I was to take a box and I put it on top of the kinetic board, they stay on the kinetic board. And if I change the dynamic of the kinetic board, right? So I go slide, 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 they'll fall off. So that's kinetic boards. And kinetic boards also work with physics boards. So if I put this kinetic board out of the way, let me get a smaller one out. So let's get this guy on this hand, this guy in this hand. And we will place these kinetic boards just like so. Now I have a V. Well, I would like to do a little bit more. So let's get a few long kinetic boards out. And we'll put this V right here. And we'll put this V right here. Well, what do you think we're going to do here? Well, first off, my angle of approach is a little odd. So I'm going to take these two pieces and do that. Now, you guessed it, I grab the ball. Okay. And then now, we're going to walk over here. And I'm going to plunk the ball down. And congratulations, you've now made a marble track. Now for the people who don't want to experience, but do want to be a part of it, like let's say you got friends who they want to be included, but they don't want to play in the gymnasium. There's always that one in the group, right? There's always that person in the swimming pool that doesn't want to get wet, right? And they hang out in the bleachers. Well, that's why I built the couch corner for them. There's still things you can do here, such as a media player on the wall, which I put the aquarium video from the Monterey Bay Aquarium. That's such a fun video. Thanks, Horse, for that. I appreciate you. And then you can put an entire playlist so they can at least be DJs and get the music going for you PC players. For the Questies, just know, Quest can't do YouTube, but Quest can do normal videos such as MP4 files or whatnot that are hosted. I know that's complicated, and I'm going to try and simplify that in my worlds at some point in the future. But right now, you just have to find what is called a direct URL to an MP4 file. Now, another wonderful thing inside this area is, of course, the good old typical standard mirror, right? Everyone needs their dose of what I'd like to call virtual cocaine. It's a weird phenomenon, VR chat, but you always have to tailor to it, because if you don't, you might lose somebody. So, of course, I point my Telecaster down here and turn the mirror on. And behind me now, there's a mirror. Ta-da! Good old wall mirror. Just for the people who need a mirror. Of course, right? Everybody needs a mirror sometimes. And then, of course, right here, this sign is kind of simple, but let me explain what it means. Welcome to STACKLab. Please be kind. STACKLab is a world of a shared experience. It is possible to interact with any item in the world, even items used by other players. Try to be a good person and not destroy their hard work. Let's try to be friends. And let me tell you right now, this world is super popular, and kids are working together to build the coolest things. I've seen rocket launchers, I've seen forts, I've seen thrones, I've seen marble mazes that go all over the place. I've even seen people stacking items almost to the darn ceiling, which has been hilarious. But my favorite part about this world, my absolute favorite part, is the fact that everybody is working together. It's very easy to find yourself in VR chat and find people who are at said public worlds, and kids just acting as if they shouldn't. Well, here's what I've noticed. Nobody's building worlds for them to go play in. So I figured, why not be us? And at which point, welcome to STACKLabs. You can already tell, I've just started making a mess in STACKLabs, but just be aware. It's like a kid in a messy room. They're just happy. They get to throw things, and I tell you what, nothing curbs your inner child than to going around with a bat and just making the biggest mess. Now, might I remind you that if you're working in someone else's public world and you're going to go in there and be a troublemaker, that might not pan out well for you. But if you build your own instance, you can do things like this. Ready? Ready for this? Here we go. Just complete mess. It's really therapeutic. It really is. So, I welcome you to STACKLabs, which in my mind has been historically the fastest world that came out of labs so far. And it warms my heart so much to see you guys play in it. So, yeah, STACKLabs. Who knew? See you later, guys.